Okay, hello. I think you're already pretty known in the Austrian game dev scene, but would you mind introducing yourself and also your studio?
Of course. Hello, my name is Rainer. So my name is Rainer Angermann. I'm co-founder of the Austrian studio Rarebyte. Yeah, and I've been actually developing games for 20 years now. And yeah, since 2006, I'm actually working um, in my own company or for my own company, Rarebyte. And yeah, it has been quite a ride. So hello out there, fellow Austrian studios, and who ever is going to watch this. I don't know. So hello.
Okay, so you already mentioned Rarebyte. Tell us everything about Rarebyte, also the history of Rarebyte. I think you had a special year this year.
Um, well, let's talk history. Okay. So actually, I need to go back before we actually founded the company because the name Rarebyte originates in 1999. Why I was still in school back then, and basically a couple of friends and I we developed games in our spare time, and we came up with that name Rarebyte, and we wanted to do this professionally someday. And yeah, then I finished school, then I finished my studies, and I still worked on the side on games. And after my studies in 2006, we founded the company to actually do this in a professional way. And since then, I've been doing this full time. And yeah, we had quite an interesting ride so far over those 14 years of our company history. And we have actually developed a lot of different kind of games over the years. So we started out with a one of our own ideas. The game was called Water Storm. It was a 2D submarine multiplayer shooter where we developed everything on our own. So we sat there and we developed our own engine, our own editor tools. It was a multiplayer game, so a lot of network code, game server, master server, everything from scratch. And we actually managed to release that game somehow. So it was the first game that we actually yeah brought to a final release. And what then happened was quite interesting for us because this game it actually opened a door, or basically we got our foot into the door of the games industry because people saw that we actually were developing things like that or games like that, and then they asked us whether we could jump on some contract work for them. So that opened this door to a lot of contract projects, and we're still doing a lot of contracts. So at the moment, the studio is built in a way that we take on contract work for various other companies, bigger companies, publishers, or even companies that are not from the games industry. And that's one side of of our company, and the other side is that we develop our own games. And this is, of course, the games industry and games are a very risky business. So the idea is to kind of have this contract side for financing your own stuff, because as we all know, games are super risky, and you can develop 10 games and only one in 10 will maybe be successful. And that's how we actually deal with the risk. And our goal is still that we want to do our own games and our own IPs. And yeah, at the moment, we are actually working on a very, let's say it's a very chaotic game. It's not a very chaotic project because we try to have everything like organized, but we are working on a game called We Are Screwed. And this game, it's basically a chaotic couch co-op space action game for 1 to 4 players. And you play as the crew of the worst space vessel in the galaxy, and you have to operate, manage, and repair your spaceship. And you are on this crazy, hilarious journey to save what we call the multiverse. and you have to work together, because only as a team you can actually succeed in the game and explore all the secrets that we have in the game and explore the universe or the multiverse. And we've been working on this game for actually quite a while now, and you can actually wishlist the game on Steam already. But we're still in the development process, and we're really looking forward to see where this takes us, especially next year.
Okay, I mean, you took already away quite a lot of my questions. So let's jump
Sorry.
let's jump directly into the next topic, which would be, speaking of future, what are the future plans for the company and also obviously for the game?
Well, for the company, I mean, this is like the obvious question. It's of course world domination. Everyone strives for world domination. No, I mean, our goal as a company, and we see ourselves as like an indie studio, and we always like this idea to be independent, so no external investment and stuff like that. Of course, this is something that you can always discuss, but we as a studio, we want to build on the team that we already have built over the last couple of years, and the idea is to have a smaller but very efficient and good working team where everyone works together. And this is something we want to strengthen even more in the coming years. And of course, we want our own games and our own IPs see the day of light, so to speak. So we want to release our own games, but still we have very interesting contract projects that we also want to work on. And we had a wonderful cooperation with Greenheart Games, for example, because we developed their ports for Game Dev Tycoon. So we ported that over from PC to iOS and Android, and now even Nintendo Switch. And this was a very interesting project for us, and I can still see that those kind of projects, that's also a thing for us. So I'm looking forward, or we are looking forward, to the next couple of years to actually push even more, release our own games, and still work on cool contract projects.
What advices would you give young developers or people trying to get into the games industry?
So to get into the games industry, there's, if I now think back how I did it, I see two sides. One side or one aspect of that where I think it's something you should do is you should really sit down and just work on your own craft, try to improve, try to iterate, try a lot of different things to improve your skills. So that's one thing. I think that I got that right somehow. Otherwise I wouldn't still be here. But there's this other side of things that I kind of neglected back then, which is I think if you're trying to get into the games industry, you should definitely talk to a lot of people, try to network a lot, check out all the networking events and Gamescom and local events like Game Dev Days, of course, here in Graz. All those kind of events, and it's very important to go there and talk to people, show them what you've done, show them your current work, and get feedback. And this way you can just iterate. And this is something I think back then we didn't. I mean, the scene wasn't that big at the time, but it was still we could have done better in this way. So that's my number one tip: just talk to a lot of people, get feedback, think about it, take that step back every once in a while, take a look at your whole endeavor, and then decide and make some decisions, and then go and make that game. And of course, this includes a lot of things. This also includes if you go this like indie studio way, you have to start building your community around your game and your company, and you have to. I mean, there's a lot of feedback that we'll get from your community as well, so you can just take on that feedback, but you should be able to filter that feedback. So not everything that you get from a player is probably end up in the right choice for a game. So you need to think, okay, is this what do you get as feedback? Is this something that's pursuing the same goal as I want to pursue as a game designer? All those kind of questions you need to ask yourself. But to sum it up, just build a community, talk to a lot of people, network, get that feedback, and then iterate, improve your skills, and make games.
Thank you. So the last question, maybe the most challenging one. So 2020 was a challenging year. For more, it was more challenging than for others. And I mean, how did you cope with this year, and what are you taking for the next year? What are the, I don't know, takeaways, for instance?
Yeah, I mean, 2020 is it over yet? No, it's not. But it has been a difficult year, I think, for all of us. I mean, if you take this look outside of your own industry, I think it's even harder because the games industry basically was able to cope with the changed situation well enough, I'd say, because of the way we typically develop or work. So for us as a company, for example, we are a distributed team. I mean, we have an office here in Graz, and we have another office in Vienna, but we have people in Poland, for example, or in Spain, and we are used to work as a distributed team with video calls and all those things. So that wasn't hard to adapt. But I guess for maybe some other studios, it was. And then there was this kind of big disappointment with all the events that were canceled, because especially if you have been doing this for quite some time, you're used to like go to all the bigger events like GDC, Gamescom, and all those smaller events as well. And yeah, that wasn't happening this year. So we kind of, in a way, adapted to do online versions of that, but it wasn't the same. So I think development-wise, the year was okay, but on this, let's say, on this event and social level, it really sucked. And I hope that we can soon be back to like going to those events again and meeting people in real life. Hopefully soon next year, but who knows? We'll have to wait and see.
Okay, thank you so much. Thanks for joining the interview.
Thanks for having me.